Now, I want to talk about the other side of the bracket before we keep it going. Let's start with the Villanova conversation there. They beat Michigan in pretty impressive fashion. They do it while just allowing Jermaine Samuels to completely eat up Hunter Dickinson. I thought that he was exceptional on both sides of the ball. And then they get past Houston in a battle of what I think you could say is maybe the two best cultures in college basketball right now. And they get to the Final Four. Fanta, I would argue, I've made this point before. This team reminds me so much of the 2016 team. They got smacked around early in the season. We all kind of wrote them off, and they just figure it out with a bunch of guys that you don't really think are going to be pros, but are probably going to end up playing a long time professionally, whether it's in the United States or whether it's overseas. What's your take on this Villanova team first and foremost, and then how do they move forward without Justin Moore?
This is Jay Wright's best coaching job, because this Villanova team brought in a loaded freshman class on paper. Jay Wright said in October that depth was going to have to be important by virtue of, in his mind, not having enough scoring options in his starting five. That's gone by the wayside, the idea of depth. The player development of Villanova has been on display with this team. The steps that Eric Dixon, that Brandon Slater have taken to get better. The way that Jermaine Samuels has played his best basketball in this tournament. You can sense that this is why he came back to Villanova for a fifth year. The unfinished business has been on display by this Wildcats team. And the reason why this is Jay's best coaching job is he has changed the way that they play this year to best fit his personnel. Villanova is typically attentive to detail. They have thrown back in time stylistically and gone to the 1980s in the way that they walk the ball up the floor and are so detailed. If they turn the ball over, it's a dead ball turnover, and they just toss the ball in the official, and the official bounces and hands it to the other team. And I thought that was frustrating for Houston on Saturday. It is a great case of doing what you need to do to win. It's not pretty. It's not sexy. The Villanova-Houston game was none of those things. But the physical toughness of this team, and props to John Shackleton, their strength and conditioning coach, because he continues to do an amazing job. Villanova might be undersized, but that doesn't mean they can't guard the post. And that's what we saw from them this past weekend. They are physical. They make you work for everything you get. And it's for that reason, the way that they play team defense, it's for that reason that they still have an opportunity here this weekend and still have a chance. How do they play without Justin Moore? It will be hard. But Caleb Daniels can step in. It's a homecoming to New Orleans, and they're going to have to get something out of the combination, one of the two, Brian Antoine or Chris Arcidiacono. But this starting five is going to have to go the distance. They basically have, with Daniels coming off the bench. It's a brutal loss because Moore gives them a scoring punch. Moore gives them that guy that sometimes can give them an 8-0 run by himself. So it will be tough. They're going to have to keep throwing it back in time. Jay Wright might have to channel Rolly Massimino 1985 if they're going to find a way to win a title. But they have the best point guard left, and they are incredible defensively right now.
Yeah, there are two things, Tio, that really make me concerned about this Villanova matchup with Kansas. One, the Justin Moore is the scoring pop, right? He's the guy where you can kind of say, okay, we need a bucket right now. Go make something happen out of nothing. Gillespie, a lot of what he gets out, it comes out of what they run, right? He's less of a clear it out, give him the rock and let him go do something guy. That's kind of what Justin Moore's role on the team was. And two, you can't go to that lineup where you have Gillespie, Moore, Caleb Daniels, Brandon Slater, and Jermaine Samuels. And to me, that was the one that worked so well against Michigan, because Jermaine Samuels and, to a point, Brandon Slater, some of those other guys are just so sturdy and strong that they're not going to get backed down by David McCormick. And that forced, again, we saw it against Hunter Dickinson, that forced Hunter to have to go out on the perimeter and guard Jermaine Samuels. And that's why he finished with 22 points. That's why he was able to go off the way that he was, because Hunter Dickinson just couldn't guard him. And Villanova won that mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong.
That could be an issue with McCormick. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, and now you have to play Eric Dixon, because how are you gonna trust Chris Arcidiacono in that spot? I don't know if he's gonna be the guy that you want out there. Brian Antoine, look, I love him. I want the best to happen for him. I don't think that he's quite ready for that yet. So it's to me, that is the biggest concern that I have is Villanova. Like, I'm not really worried about McCormick. I'm worried about whether or not Villanova is able to take advantage of that mismatch the way that they would have in another with Justin more healthy.
Does this not have all the makings of like, we're down a guy, we're going to rally together? Like it just, that was such a big piece. And have you guys heard of the Ewing effect?
The Ewing theory, yeah.
Yeah, Ewing effect. Yeah, Ewing theory. I'll let you take that one because you're smarter than me. But like,
oh no,
the best player goes down. Yeah,
and you get better when you lose your best player, because I think the Knicks lost Patrick Ewing in some playoff and they made it to like the finals or something like that.
Yeah, and then Tennessee,
the Bill Simmons finest.
Yeah, and then T Martin starts at quarterback for University of Tennessee after 4 years of Peyton Manning, and they win the national championship. Like, I'm not saying he's their best player, because I think Colin Gillespie is their best college player. I think he's their most talented player, and he's going to be missed. It just has all the makings of a Villanova Jay Wright. Hey guys, nobody thinks this is going to happen. We're going to make it work. Arcidiacono is going to hit 3 threes out of nowhere, and then Villanova is going to keep it close and then potentially win, then run out of gas in the next game.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. I think that they've earned enough respect nationally at this point. And if you don't respect them nationally, frankly, you're a clown. But they've earned enough respect to get to the point where I don't think they're walking in the building on Saturday. They might be telling themselves this psychologically.
That's right.
But we're not. We're not saying that they don't have a shot, because we know the way that they play, it's difficult to play against. Mm-hmm. And if Kansas has an off shooting night, then Villanova could win this game.